The call came on a Tuesday afternoon while I was stacking boxes in the warehouse. Mom's number flashing on my screen made my chest tighten. We hadn't spoken in 3 years. Not since the night they threw me out. Zayden? Her voice cracked through the speaker, and I almost hung up right there. We need to talk. It's about the ring. The ring. Just hearing those words transported me back to that nightmare of an evening when everything fell apart. I was 22 then, fresh out of college, living at home while job hunting. Life wasn't perfect, but it was stable. I had my family, a roof over my head, and hope for the future. Then Noah lost her engagement ring. My older sister had always been the golden child, successful lawyer, perfect fiancé, the one who could do no wrong. When she announced her engagement to Marcus, our parents practically threw a parade. The ring he gave her was a family heirloom from his grandmother, worth more than my car. She wore it everywhere, showing it off like a trophy, until the day it vanished. I remember coming home from a job interview to find the house in chaos. Noah was sobbing on the couch, Mom was turning the living room upside down, and Dad was on the phone with the insurance company. The ring had disappeared sometime that morning, and everyone was in full panic mode. "Did you see it anywhere?" Mom asked me, her eyes wild with worry. I shook my head. I left before Noah even woke up. "What happened?" Noah lifted her tear-stained face. "I took it off to do the dishes this morning. Left it on the counter. When I came back, it was gone. We spent hours searching. Under cushions, in drawers, behind furniture. Nothing. As the sun set, the atmosphere in the house grew darker, more suspicious. That's when Noah said the words that changed everything. Zayden was the only other person home this morning. The accusation hung in the air like poison. I felt my blood run cold as 3 pairs of eyes turned to me. "You think I took it?" My voice came out strangled, disbelieving. "I'm not saying that," Noah said, but her tone said otherwise. "I'm just stating facts. You were here. You've been stressed about money lately." It was true I'd been anxious about job hunting, about student loans, about starting my adult life, but stealing from my own sister? The suggestion was insane. "This is ridiculous," I said, standing up. "I would never." "Then you won't mind if we check your room," Dad interrupted, his voice stern in a way I'd never heard before. The search of my room was the most humiliating experience of my life. They went through everything, my closet, my drawers, under my mattress, inside my shoes. Mom found the envelope of cash I'd been saving from odd jobs, about $800, and held it up like evidence. "Where did this come from?" she demanded. "It's my savings, from the freelance work I've been doing." I couldn't believe I had to defend having my own money. "Freelance work," Noah repeated skeptically. "That you never mentioned." "Because it's mine. I don't have to report every dollar I earn to you." But the damage was done. In their minds, the cash was suspicious. Combined with my financial stress and being home alone with the ring, I'd already been tried and convicted in the family court. The interrogation continued for hours. Where exactly was I that morning? Could anyone verify my whereabouts? Why didn't I help search immediately when I got home? Every answer I gave seemed to make things worse. "Just tell us where it is," Mom pleaded around midnight. "We can fix this. Return it, and we'll work through it as a family." "I don't have it!" I was practically screaming by then, tears streaming down my face. "How can I return something I didn't take?" That's when Dad said it. "Maybe you need to find somewhere else to stay until you're ready to be honest with us." The words hit me like a physical blow. "You're kicking me out?" "Just temporarily," Mom said quickly, but her eyes wouldn't meet mine. "Until we sort this out. Until you come clean." I have nothing to come clean about. But it didn't matter. Within an hour, I was packing a bag with the essentials while my family watched from the doorway like guards. The money I'd saved my money they suggested I leave behind until things were resolved. I was too shocked, too broken to fight it. Noah stood in the hallway as I headed for the door, her arms crossed. "This didn't have to happen, Zayden. Just tell the truth." I looked at my sister, the person I'd grown up with, shared secrets with, defended on playgrounds and in high school hallways. "I am telling the truth." She turned away. I spent that first night in my car in a Walmart parking lot, using their bathroom to brush my teeth and wash my face. The next morning, I sat in a McDonald's with their free Wi-Fi, trying to figure out what to do. No family, $300 to my name. I'd hidden some cash in my laptop bag, and nowhere to go. The easiest thing would have been to confess to something I didn't do, beg forgiveness, and go home. But I couldn't. It wasn't about pride, it was about truth. If I admitted to stealing that ring, I'd be admitting I was someone I wasn't. I'd be living a lie for the rest of my life. So I chose the harder path. The first few weeks were brutal. I reached out to friends, but explaining the situation was humiliating. My family thinks I'm a thief isn't exactly a conversation starter. Some believe me, others didn't, and many just didn't want to get involved in the drama. I couch surfed when I could, slept in my car when I couldn't, and applied for every job within a 50-mile radius. I finally caught a break, 3 weeks in a loading position at a distribution warehouse. Night shift, minimum wage. But they paid weekly and didn't ask too many questions about my living situation. I told them I was between apartments, which was technically true. My supervisor, an older guy named Frank, took pity on me when he found me sleeping in the break room one morning after my shift. "You got somewhere to go, kid?" he asked. I mumbled something about looking for apartments, but Frank wasn't buying it. Turns out, he had a cousin who ran a boarding house, nothing fancy, just a place with small rooms, shared bathrooms, and basic utilities included. The rent was cheap enough that I could afford it after 2 weeks of paychecks. Moving into that 8x10 room felt like checking into a luxury hotel after weeks in my car. I had a bed, a door that locked, and access to a shower that I didn't have to sneak into. It wasn't home, but it was shelter. The work was hard, loading trucks in the middle of the night, my back screaming, hands blistered despite the gloves. But I never complained. Every ache was a reminder that I was surviving on my own terms. Every paycheck was proof that I didn't need them. After 3 months, I got promoted to forklift operator. Better pay, less physical strain. Frank started teaching me about inventory systems, shipping logistics, warehouse management. He became the mentor I needed, though he never knew the full story of why I was there. "You're smart, Zayden," he told me one night. "Too smart to be doing this forever. What's your plan?" I didn't have one beyond surviving each day, but Frank's question planted a seed. I started taking online courses in supply chain management using the warehouse's Wi-Fi, studied during breaks, after shifts, whenever I could keep my eyes open. Meanwhile, my phone remained silent. No calls from Mom or Dad, no text from Noah. They'd made their choice, and apparently, they were sticking to it. The only contact was a single email from Mom 2 months after I left. "When you're ready to make things right, we're here." Make things right, as if I was the one who needed to fix something. I deleted the email and changed my phone number. A year passed. Then, too, I moved up steadily at the warehouse shift supervisor, then assistant manager. Moved out of the boarding house into a small studio apartment. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. Every stick of secondhand furniture, every dollar in my savings account, every small success, I'd earned it all without them. I made friends at work, people who knew me as Zayden, the reliable supervisor. Not Zayden, the accused thief. Sarah from HR became a close friend after we bonded over both being night owls. Jim from shipping invited me to his family barbecues, where his kids called me Uncle Z. I was building a life, piece by piece. The anger that had fueled me in those first months gradually transformed into something else, not forgiveness, but a kind of detachment. I stopped checking their social media, stopped wondering if they missed me, stopped imagining scenarios where they'd realize their mistake and come apologizing. I focused on myself instead. Got therapy through work's employee assistance program. Started working out to deal with the stress. Learned to cook beyond instant ramen. Read books about resilience, about trauma, about building self-worth from within. My therapist, Dr. Chen, helped me understand that their quick assumption of my guilt said more about them than about me. "They chose to believe the worst," she said during one session. "That's their failure, not yours." "But why?" I asked for the 100th time. "What did I ever do to make them think I was capable of that?" "Sometimes," she said gently, "people show us who they really are in crisis moments. They showed you that their trust in you was conditional, easily broken. That's painful, but it's also valuable information." By year 3, I'd been promoted to warehouse supervisor, overseeing the entire night shift operation. I'd saved enough for a decent car, had a small investment account, even started dating someone, Lisa, a nurse who worked nights at the nearby hospital. We met at a 24-hour diner where we both grabbed breakfast after our shifts. Life was good. Not perfect, but good. Stable. Mine. Then came that Tuesday afternoon call. "The ring was in the garbage disposal," Mom said, her voice thick with tears. "The plumber found it today. It must have fallen in when Noah was doing dishes that morning. It's been there the whole time. 3 years. 3 years of exile, of building myself up from nothing, of learning to live without them, and the truth had been grinding away in the kitchen sink the entire time." I sat down hard on a box of inventory, my legs suddenly unable to hold me. Around me, the warehouse continued its usual rhythm, forklifts beeping, boxes sliding, workers chatting while my world tilted off its axis. "Zayden? Are you there?" "I'm here," I managed. "We're so sorry. We're all so sorry. Noah is devastated. She wants to talk to you, to apologize. We all do. Can you come home? Tonight? We need to make this right." Make this right. There was that phrase again, but now from the other side. "I'm at work," I said automatically. "Then after work, or tomorrow. Whenever you can. Please, Zayden. We made a terrible mistake." A mistake. That's what she called it. Like they'd forgotten to pick me up from school or accidentally threw out my baseball cards. Not systematically destroyed my life based on an assumption. "I need time to process this," I said. Of course, but please, don't take too long. We've missed you so much. Your room is exactly how you left it." My room. The room they'd ransacked looking for evidence of my guilt. The room they'd forced me to leave with barely the clothes on my back. "I have to go," I said and hung up. I sat in that warehouse for another hour, staring at nothing, feeling everything and nothing all at once. Frank found me there and immediately knew something was wrong. "You okay, kid?" I laughed, but it came out bitter. "My family just found out I was innocent. After 3 years." Frank whistled low. "That's heavy. What are you going to do?" "I have no idea." And I didn't. For 3 years, I'd imagined this moment, the vindication, the apology, the proof that I'd been telling the truth. But in my imagination, it felt triumphant. In reality, it just felt hollow. I called in sick for the rest of my shift and went home to my studio apartment. Lisa texted, asking if I wanted to grab breakfast, but I couldn't face anyone. I sat on my secondhand couch, in my hard-earned apartment, and tried to figure out what I wanted. The calls started immediately. Mom, Dad, even extended family members I hadn't heard from in years. I let them all go to voicemail. The messages piled up, each one more desperate than the last. "Zayden, please. We just want to talk. Son, I know we hurt you, but family is family. Your sister is sick with guilt. Please let her apologize." Then came the texts. screenshots of family group chats where they were discussing the situation. Apparently, Noah had posted about it on Facebook, a long, public confession about how she'd wrongly accused her brother and how sorry she was. The comments were full of sympathy for her, praising her bravery for admitting her mistake. Her bravery. She was being celebrated for finally telling the truth, while I'd been punished for telling it all along. On day 3, Noah showed up at the warehouse. I was in the middle of a shipping crisis when Sarah from HR called me to the front office. "There's someone here to see you." Says she's your sister? I found Noah in the lobby, looking expensive and out of place in her designer suit among the industrial furniture. She'd lost weight, and there were dark circles under her eyes that her makeup couldn't quite hide. "Zayden," she started, standing when she saw me. "How did you find me?" I asked, keeping my distance. "Mom hired a private investigator months ago. We've known where you were, but we wanted to respect your space." "A private investigator?" I laughed bitterly. "You mean you've been watching me?" "Not watching. Just, we needed to know you were okay." "I'm fine. As you can see," she took a step forward, and I took one back. "Zayden, I'm so sorry. I can't tell you how sorry I am. I was stressed about the wedding, about Marcus's family judging me, about that stupid ring, so you threw me under the bus. I didn't mean to. I panicked. And then once I'd said it, once Mom and Dad believed it, I couldn't take it back. I kept thinking you'd confess to something. Anything. Just to come home, and then we could work it out. Confess to something I didn't do? I know how it sounds. I know. But I was so sure you'd taken it. You'd been so weird about money, so stressed, and when we found that cash, my cash, that I earned," she flinched. "I know. God, I know. I've been in therapy for 2 years trying to understand why I did what I did. Why I was so quick to believe the worst. And what did you figure out?" Noah's eyes filled with tears. "That I was jealous. You were always the favorite, even if Mom and Dad didn't show it. The baby, the one everyone protected. And for once, I was the victim, the one everyone rallied around. It felt good to not be the perfect one for once." The honesty of it was brutal. At least she wasn't making excuses. "I can't just come back," I told her. "I have a life here. A job, an apartment, friends." "We're not asking you to give that up," Noah said quickly. "Just, can we start over? Can we try to rebuild?" I thought about the past 3 years. Every night in my car, every double shift to make rent, every milestone I'd celebrated alone. "Do you have any idea what you put me through?" "Tell me," she said. "Please. I need to hear it." So I did. I told her about sleeping in parking lots, about showering at truck stops, about going hungry to save money for a security deposit. I told her about the friends who'd abandoned me, the relationships that couldn't survive the stigma of my story. I told her about building myself back up, brick by brick, with no foundation except my own determination. By the end, she was sobbing. "I ruined your life." "No," I said, and meant it. "You tried to, but I didn't let you." We stood there in that warehouse lobby, years of pain between us, and I realized something. I wasn't angry anymore. I was just tired of carrying the weight of their betrayal, tired of defining myself in opposition to them. "I need time," I told her. "And therapy. Family therapy. If we're going to even try this." She nodded eagerly. "Whatever you need. Whatever it takes." I set the first boundary. "I'm not coming to the house. Not yet. Maybe not ever. If we meet, it's on neutral ground." "Okay. And I want a written apology. From all of you. Not a Facebook post for sympathy points, a real acknowledgement of what you did. Done. And the money you made me leave behind. With interest." She pulled out her checkbook right there. "How much?" "800 principal. Let's call it 2,000 with interest and damages." She wrote the check without hesitation, and I realized she would have paid any amount. The money wasn't the point, the acknowledgement was. After she left, I sat in my office and called Dr. Chen for an emergency session. "They found the ring," I told her. "Now they want me back." "What do you want?" she asked. It took me a long time to answer. I want to stop feeling like an exile, but I don't want to give up who I've become. The family therapy sessions were brutal. We met at Dr. Chen's office every 2 weeks, me, Mom, Dad, and Noah. The first session, my parents couldn't stop crying. The second, Dad tried to justify their actions by saying they were just being cautious. It took Dr. Chen pointing out that immediately exile wasn't caution, but cruelty for him to finally shut up and listen. Mom was the hardest to deal with. She kept trying to minimize what happened, calling it a misunderstanding or a rough patch. She wanted to fast forward to forgiveness without sitting with the pain of what they'd done. "You made me homeless," I said during session 4. "That's not a rough patch. That's abandonment. We thought you'd come back," she said weakly. "We thought you'd come clean and come back. You wanted me to lie to make you comfortable with your false accusation?" The silence that followed was deafening. Slowly, painfully, we started to excavate the truth. How quick they'd been to believe Noah because she'd always been the responsible one. How my financial struggles had made them suspicious of my character. How they'd wanted a simple answer to the missing ring more than they'd wanted to protect their son. "We failed you," Dad finally said during session 6. "We failed as parents." It was the first completely honest thing any of them had said. Meanwhile, life continued outside therapy. I got promoted to operations manager. Lisa and I grew more serious. I finally told her the whole story, and she held me while I cried for the first time in years. Frank retired and recommended me as his replacement. I was building something real, something that had nothing to do with them. The question became, did I want them in this new life I'd built? Some days, the answer was yes. When I got the promotion, my first instinct was to call Mom. When Lisa and I took a weekend trip to the beach, I thought about family vacations we'd taken to the same spot. When Jim's family invited me to Thanksgiving, I remembered our own family traditions. Other days, the answer was absolutely not. When I'd wake up from nightmares about being searched. When I'd see families in the store and feel that sharp pang of loss. When Noah would text asking if we could have coffee, and I'd remember her face as she accused me. Doctor. Chen helped me understand I didn't need to make a permanent decision. Relationships can exist on a spectrum, she said. You can choose the level of contact that feels safe for you. After 6 months of therapy, I agreed to a family dinner. Not at the house, I still wasn't ready for that, but at a restaurant. Neutral ground, public space, easy exit if needed. They all looked older. 3 years had aged them in ways I hadn't expected. Mom's hair was more gray than brown now. Dad had developed a stoop, and Noah looked fragile in a way that had nothing to do with her weight loss. The conversation was stilted at first. They asked about my job, my apartment, my life. I gave surface answers. Then Mom asked about Lisa, and something in me softened. I found myself telling them about how we met, about her kindness, about how she'd helped me learn to trust again. We'd love to meet her, Mom said carefully. Maybe someday, I replied, and meant it. The dinner ended with awkward hugs and promises to stay in touch. I drove home feeling exhausted but lighter somehow, like I'd been carrying rocks in my pockets and had finally set a few down. Lisa was waiting at my apartment with takeout and a movie queued up. How was it? She asked. Weird. Hard. But not terrible. She kissed my forehead. I'm proud of you. We started having monthly dinners after that. Slowly, carefully, we began stitching together some kind of relationship. Not what we'd had before that was gone forever, but something new. Something with boundaries and conditions and careful trust. Then Marcus left Noah. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. The ring that had destroyed our family ended up destroying her relationship too. Marcus couldn't get over the fact that she'd so quickly accused her own brother. If she could do that to family, what might she do to him? Noah called me, sobbing. I ruined everything. First you, now Marcus. The ring was cursed. The ring was just a ring, I told her. The choices were yours. I know, she whispered. God, I know. I didn't comfort her. That wasn't my job anymore. But I didn't hang up either. I just listened while she cried, and when she was done, I told her to call her therapist. A year after that first dinner, Dad had a mild heart attack. I got the call at work and surprised myself by immediately leaving to go to the hospital. Not to the house, still not that, but to his bedside. You came, he said, tears in his eyes. Yeah, well, you're still my dad. It wasn't forgiveness, exactly. But it was something. 2 years have passed since Mom's call about finding the ring. 5 years total since the night they kicked me out. I'm 30 now, with a life I couldn't have imagined back then. I run the entire warehouse now, day and night shifts. Lisa and I got engaged last month with a simple band. No family heirlooms. We're buying a house. Something small but ours. The wedding will be small too. My family will be invited, but they won't be in the wedding party. Those spots are reserved for the people who stood by me when I had nothing. The relationship with my family exists, but it's different. We have dinner once a month. I'll stop by the hospital when Dad has his checkups. Mom and I text occasionally. It's cordial, even warm sometimes, but there's always a distance. A protective barrier I maintain. Noah is the hardest. We're working on it in therapy, but the trust is gone. She's trying. She volunteers at a homeless shelter now, some attempt at penance. She sends me articles about warehouse management, trying to show interest in my life. But when I look at her, I still see that 25-year-old woman pointing her finger at me, so sure of my guilt. Do you think you'll ever fully forgive us? Mom asked recently. I don't know, I answered honestly. But I've forgiven myself. For what? For believing you'd choose me. For thinking family meant unconditional love. For taking 3 years to realize I was always enough, with or without you. She cried at that, but they weren't tears I needed to wipe away anymore. Last week, I got an offer for a regional manager position. It would mean relocating to a city 6 hours away. Better pay, better opportunities, a fresh start for Lisa and me. I accepted without hesitation. When I told the family at our monthly dinner, they were devastated. But we just got you back, Mom said. You never had me back, I corrected gently. We're building something new, remember? And part of that is me living my life on my terms. Noah asked if we could have coffee before I left. One-on-one, she said. To really talk. I agreed, surprising myself. We met at a place near my apartment. She looked healthier than she had in years, like she'd finally stopped punishing herself. Or maybe started punishing herself productively. I need you to know something, she said. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I think about what I did every single day. It's the first thing I remember every morning and the last thing before I sleep. That sounds exhausting, I said. It is. But it should be. Some things should hurt forever. We sat in silence for a while, drinking our coffee. Finally, I said, I think about it too. Less now, but still. I think about who we were before. How easy it all was. Do you miss it, us, before? Sometimes. But mostly I'm grateful. She looked surprised. Grateful? If this hadn't happened, I'd probably still be living at home. Still dependent. Still defining myself by your expectations. I'd never have known how strong I could be. How capable. I'd never have met Lisa or Frank or built this career. In the worst way possible, you set me free. That's not how I wanted you to become successful, she said, crying now. But it's how it happened. When we parted, She hugged me for the first time in 5 years. I let her, briefly, then stepped away. Will you keep in touch? From the new city? She asked. We'll see, I said, and meant it. The moving truck comes next week. Lisa and I have been packing, deciding what to keep and what to leave behind. I found the check Noah wrote me that day in the warehouse, still uncashed. I'd kept it as a reminder, though I'm not sure of what anymore. Evidence of their guilt? Proof of my innocence? Or just a symbol of the price of broken trust? I deposited it yesterday. The money will go toward the new house, building something from the ashes of what was destroyed. Dr. Chen asked in our last session if I had any regrets. I regret that they didn't believe me, I said. I regret the 3 years of exile. But I don't regret who I've become because of it. And moving away? No regrets there? Moving toward, I corrected. I'm moving toward something, not away. The truth is, I could stay. The relationship with my family is stable enough now, functional even. We could continue our monthly dinners, our careful conversations, our tentative rebuilding. But staying feels like accepting a lesser version of myself, one still defined by their betrayal and my survival of it. So I'm choosing the promotion, the new city, the fresh start. I'm choosing Lisa and the family will build together one based on trust that's been tested and held. I'm choosing to be Zayden the operations manager, the fiancé, the friend, rather than Zayden the wrongly accused son. My family will always be part of my story, but they don't get to write the ending. That's mine to decide. Tomorrow, I'll walk through the warehouse one last time, saying goodbye to the place that saved me. I'll think about that scared 22-year-old sleeping in the break room, and I'll thank him for not giving up. I'll remember Frank's kindness, Sarah's friendship, Jim's inclusion. These people who saw me at my lowest and helped me rise, their family too, in their own way. The ring that started all of this sits in evidence at my parents' house, returned by the plumber who found it. Noah offered it to me once, saying I should have it after everything. I laughed at the absurdity. What would I do with the thing that destroyed us? But sometimes I think about that ring in the garbage disposal, grinding away in the dark for 3 years while we all fell apart above it. There's a metaphor there somewhere about truth always surfacing eventually, but I'm too tired for metaphors. All I know is this. They took everything from me once. My home, my family, my sense of self. But in losing everything, I learned I could survive anything. In being accused of theft, I discovered what was truly mine, my integrity, my resilience, my capacity to rebuild. The new city awaits. A new job, a new home, a new chapter. My family knows the address, but not the invitation. That will come slowly, if at all, on my terms and timeline. Lisa asked me last night if I was ready to leave it all behind. I'm not leaving it behind, I told her. I'm taking the lessons with me. The good and the bad, the pain and the growth. But I'm finally ready to stop living in reaction to that night. I'm ready to live for something instead of despite something. She understood. She always does. So this is where the story ends. Or maybe where it really begins. Not with forgiveness or revenge. Not with a dramatic reconciliation or permanent estrangement. Just with choice. The choice to move forward, to build something new, to define family by trust rather than blood. The ring has been found, the truth has been revealed, the apologies have been made, and I'm finally, truly free.